Welcome to Raunchy Power Hour, a book club for discussing romance, from the erotic to the erroneous. As always, this is an explicit podcast and contains strong language, adult themes, and sexual content. If you are sensitive to these things, we urge you calmly but sincerely to turn off your radio now. This month, we are reading The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. This is part 1 of Pumpkin Spice Cafe. This podcast will contain spoilers through chapter 17. If you want to read along with us, stop listening now. It's okay. We'll wait for you to come back. This book contains themes of death. You have been warned.
I'm your producer, Ashlyn.
I'm one of your hosts, Sydney.
And I'm the other pumpkin spice host, Christina.
Now get ready to get raunchy. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Sydney. Hi, Ashlyn. I'm back.
She is back. So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you could name a storefront of your choice based off of some fall food or drink item, what would be your storefront and what would be the name?
I have this prepared, and I've had this prepared for years. It's coffee and queso.
Okay.
Soak it in. Yeah. Everyone's a hater. Everyone's a hater of the dream, but there's something about coffee and like any cheese product. That's what it would be. The queso is just kind of fun because it's not like your typical C and C. Like it's like playing off of the like visually looking different. And I understand that everyone's a hater, but
well, here's the thing. I'm just a hater of cheese, and that's just my problem. So
I forgot you cheese hater. Okay, then what's your idea?
Cheese hater. Okay. I think it would have to be something like super specific and like super seasonal. Because I think that would be the most fun. I think it would be my storefront / establishment that is named after some sort of food would be called PB and Jammies, where they just sell really comfortable pajamas, but they also serve peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Wait, so it's okay. I can get behind this. It's comfy.
Like you get like a little like you can like get and you're like get some new jammies, and then like hang out on some couches and like eat some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
That's really cute, but I can see this going really bad.
I do too. There would have to be like explicit warnings on the door. Be like, people with peanut allergies do not enter. You will die.
It's kind of like Five
Not
Guys.
safe. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, except they've started taking out the peanut barrels. Have you noticed that? I haven't seen a peanut thing recently.
Wait, no, wait. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could just be in my area, guys, but conspiracy theory. Five Guys is trying to like not kill as many people with peanut allergies.
This is crazy development. Okay, so
Crazy.
You have peanut butter jellies and jammies. Or is it
PB and jammies?
That's cute. That's cute. It's clever. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I just came up with it on the spot. Thank you. But since I'm going to be going over the book today, Christina, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we've read for this month?
We read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. Laurie Gilmore is the pen name for the author Melissa McTurnan. As Melissa, she writes Steamy Fanny.
Fanny? Steamy Fanny?
Yeah, she writes a Steamy Fanny. As Melissa, she writes steamy fantasy romance, but as Laurie, she writes steamy small town romance. The inspiration for the Dream Harbor series comes from Gilmore Girls, very clear, and the quirky small town vibe of Stars Hollow. It's very, very, very much inspired by Gilmore Girls. Her books evoke Hallmark movie vibes for every season. She's got fall with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and she's got some winter ones. We'd only read Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and I think that's all we'll read.
Yeah, I'm good.
The Pumpkin Spice Cafe was published August 30th, 2023 by One More Chapter, a division of HarperCollins. The ebook comes in at about 286 pages, and this is her debut as Lori Gilmore, and it's the first in the Dream Harbor series. There's 3 books out and 2 planned for a 2025 release. On Goodreads, it has a 3.5 stars out of slightly more than 158,000 reviews. And on Storygraph, it's got a 3.39 stars out of 16,814 reviews. There is a Pumpkin Spice Cafe official Spotify playlist created by One More Chapter.
Thank God I didn't have to do it this time.
We have some words about this. It is printed in the beginning of the book, so we all have access to it.
Yeah, fun fact, I didn't know about it because I just skipped over that part, and I just learned about it less than 15 minutes ago that there was an official playlist.
And I love Taylor Swift, but there's a lot of Taylor Swift on this that doesn't make sense.
There's a lot of like just angsty songs about love, and I'm like, but we weren't really angsty. We were like hanging out for like a month.
Yeah, the book doesn't get angsty, but the songs are. So if you're interested, it sounds like 20,000 people saved it, which is a lot.
Yeah, so if you like the book, I guess listen to the playlist while you read.
Pick up the playlist. It might be a little angsty for the book, but hey, go for it. And also, the book is a Sunday Times and USA Today bestseller and the winner of the TikTok Shop Book of the Year award. I don't know what that is, and it's a tongue twister.
Yeah, that's complicated. I was gonna say, did you know about this book before? Who suggested it? I think it was Ashlyn is the one who suggested we read this one.
I think Ashlyn did.
Yeah, because I haven't heard of this book before until Ashlyn told us about it.
What? Okay, no, it was all over Bookstagram, all over. And it had me convinced that maybe I would like it. And I'm a romance hater, guys. Remember that. But
yeah. Sorry, guys. We did bring a romance hater onto the podcast because we had a short supply of people in the basement who could fill the romance role.
It's just me, guys. It's fine.
She's trying her best.
I'm trying my best, and it was all over Bookstagram. I can't talk for TikTok, but obviously it did well. It was viral.
I saw it got picked up by Illumicrate, I think is the one who did like a limited edition release.
Litjoy, I'm not sure. One of those.
One of those, or Book of the Month. You know, those services.
It made its rounds. It definitely made its rounds.
It's something. Why don't you introduce us to the characters, Christina? Why don't you tell us who we're talking? Well, why don't you introduce us to our 2 main characters?
We've got a giant cast, but 2 main characters, super easy. We've got Jeannie. She's our 28-year-old yappy business casual wearing main female protagonist. She was a business girly when she was in Boston. Mm-hmm. She saw her boss, Marvin, dead at his desk. And then she hightailed it to Dream Harbor, which I think is in Connecticut, to run her Aunt Dot's
New England, I think.
It's in New England General.
It's somewhere, guys, and you know what? I'm going to offend the people who live up in those states. You know, it's in that area.
It's in that area. I have thoughts about what New England constitutes. Apparently, it's like people have differing opinions of what states are in there, but it's up there. It's up there and it's fall.
Oh my God, I forgot that New England isn't just like a state. I forgot it's just an area up there.
You thought it was a state, Sydney.
I did.
Okay, I'll let Sydney come to
in my defense, guys, I never learned about the geography of the United States. I literally did not know that New England wasn't a state for a very, very long time. I thought New England was a state.
Is it because of the football team?
Probably.
I feel like I just learned so much. Okay, I have to like compose myself. I keep giggling. Okay. I'm back. I'm composed.
I love that I keep forgetting that New England is not a state.
Sydney.
Can you blame me?
Yes.
Yeah, you can. I'll take it.
I can.
Put that on a shirt. I didn't know New England wasn't a state. New England is a state. That's going to be your merch someday.
New
New
England.
England.
It's a state. It's a state of mind, baby.
A state of
Hey,
mind.
Sid.
They totally did it.
Sid, I'm gonna send you a picture, and I want you to tell me what state this is.
Okay.
Can you tell me what state that is?
Connecticut?
It is. It is Connecticut. Good job.
That's the one I know. I know that
Oh my
one.
goodness.
I'm so proud of you.
I almost just said Connecticut's where Boston is, but it isn't. Boston's in
New England,
Massachusetts.
guys.
Boston is the capital of New England. It's confirmed.
As the resident geography nerd, I'm having heart palpitations.
I just drove through all these states recently.
Boston is the capital of New England.
Also, Montpelier is there. Is that how you pronounce it?
Say it again.
How do you say it?
Say it again.
Is it-
Montpelier?
Montpelier. I said Montpelier.
Not Monty Python.
I said monkey pussy.
Not like Montpellier, like ballet. What is it? Montpellier?
It's spelled Montpelier. So I don't know where you're coming up with that extra sound. Montpelier.
It's the
Oh
southern
my
in me.
god.
I add extra syllables where they don't belong.
I've always said Montpellier, but who knows?
Montpellier.
Oh my
Montpellier.
god.
Montpellier. Okay, I got it.
Oh
Oh,
Lord.
New England is the state and Boston is the capital, guys.
I'm having heart palpitations. Holy smokes. I'm stressed.
It's like we're in like a geography, like what would you say, like a buzz-in geography bee? Is that a thing? It's like put me in.
I like that.
I literally got bored one summer and taught myself all of the flags of the world, and I can also identify every country on a map.
Oh my God, Sheldon!
Doesn't surprise
is
me.
here in the room with us.
Yeah.
Fun with
And I
flags,
still
too.
haven't learned my state capitals. That's too much work.
No flags, but not capitals.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Oh my God, this is so off topic. Okay. While it may be debated what state Dream Harbor is in, we would debate this hotly. Regardless, Jeannie does run from Boston to Dream Harbor to run her Aunt Dot's Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It's hers now. And
Yay.
our other main character is Logan. He is a 30-year-old bearded, flanneled, gruff-voiced farmer living with his sweet grandparents, Nana and Grandpa. This hunky working man is quite the softy. And he did have a humiliating failed proposal to his last girlfriend named Lucy.
Yeah. Which is important to bring up now just because like the events of like with Marvin and Lucy don't happen in the book. We just get told that they happened.
Lots of
'Cause
telling.
They just tell us. There's a lot of telling.
And honestly, they're both pretty awful situations, but the fact that we're only told about it makes it feel less awful.
Yeah. I just feel like in their own, now those people are characters, even though they're like meant to be just background. Anyway. Thank you, Christina. Thank you for introducing our two lovebirds for this evening. And with that, let's jump right into Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore.
Woohoo.
So our book opens with Jeannie thinking there's a ghost or someone is trying to murder her, which wouldn't be the first thing I would have thought in chapter 1, or like thought of when I first moved to a new place is scratching on my walls or door must be a murderer. Um, but she's new in town. She's new in town. And she has moved into the apartment upstairs in the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And she has grabbed a baseball bat. And she has, like, she's coming down the stairs because obviously she thinks someone's about to break in. So she's like, oh, gotta beat them up, apparently. And she opens the door and we meet Logan, who's the new produce delivery farmer. And she threatens to hit him. And he's like, I'm just dropping off some pumpkins, my guy.
Which she also debates if they're pumpkin or gourds a lot.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't think it matters. I've never contemplated. Yeah, I've never contemplated so much whether it is a pumpkin or a gourd. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so Jeannie like lets him in, this strange man inside, and she's like, oh, sorry, haven't been sleeping very well because keep hearing these scratching noises in the night. And Logan's like, and he's like quiet, and Jeannie has like, this is where we first get introduced to really Jeannie's POV, which I grew to not love being in by the end of the book. I would describe Jeannie as very, very neurotic and also very like, in the best way possible, very ADHD, just like all over the place. But it's meant to be like funky and quirky. No, she's not one of those people.
She just
even in her
talks
own
through
head.
Mm-hmm.
Even in her own head. Yeah, and I'm like, girl, we may need to be on something. So she has been like not been able to sleep, and she's like, but I want to be like this new person, and I don't want to be this crazy girl from Boston. Like, I want to be cool, calm Jeannie, you know, like the eclectic type that owns a cafe. So New Jeannie, as she keeps calling it. So because of the trouble that she caused Logan, she invites him in for a cup of coffee, and this man accepts. He's like, okay, why not? And
kind of crazy for him to do.
Honestly, if a woman, if I was trying to just do my job and a woman tried to hit me upside the head with a baseball bat, I wouldn't then willingly go into a coffee shop with her. So we jump into Logan's POV, and so here's my first gripe about this book. I'm going to bring it up early so we can get this over with. This book is advertised as Grumpy Sunshine. Logan is not grumpy. He's quiet and he's reserved. That's different than grumpy.
I don't think at any point he's grumpy.
No. He's just kind of quiet. Yeah, he's very sweet, but he's sweet to everyone. And typically with Grumpy Sunshine, I expect like he's grumpy or he's mean to everyone else. But you know?
He very rarely had a bad attitude, even from the beginning. He was just a little more reserved, and it's not harder to be reserved than Jeannie. Like, she talks a lot. It's easy to be quiet.
She talks a lot. But Logan is like reminiscing about how he doesn't really come into town very often, doesn't really socialize with people in town, and how he like asked Jeannie like kind of what's going on a little bit, and Logan is like, so something's keeping you up at night, and she tells him what's going on, and he says to her to go to a town hall meeting and see if anyone could suggest anything, and she's like, oh, of course, and then you're gonna be there too, right? He wasn't planning on it, but because of, those gosh dang hedgehog jammies that she's wearing, that makes her so cute, and for the fact that she's gorgeous after just waking up and trying to murder him, he's like, yeah, of course I'll be there.
He mentions the hedgehogs a lot. Like, this is not the only time they're mentioned. They come up later. They come up at the very end, too.
They come up at the very end, and that's why I had to mention them, because otherwise I would have forgotten the whole thing. Anyway, they meet up at the town meeting, and here we get introduced to some new side characters, which are going to be like pretty prominent throughout the rest of the book. So we get introduced to Hazel and Annie, who are both BFFs with Logan. So Hazel runs the bookstore. The bookstore is next door. The bakery is across the street.
Yep.
And then Annie runs the Sugar Plum Bakery, which is across the street.
Across the street. And she does a lot of business with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. She brings over her baked goods.
Yeah, like all the time. I will say, this is a little shade to the author, and I kind of hate that I'm giving shade so early on.
So early.
It's so early. I couldn't remember the difference between Hazel and Annie most of the time because they had the same personality.
They were kind of the same person, two different names. They're both friends with Logan.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had like maybe some more distinctive traits. So I will say that could be improved upon. But that was like, I was really struggling with that. And then on top of it, we get introduced to people like the mayor, who is Annie's father. We get introduced to the book club. There's a bunch of people in it, but I can't even remember all their names. So again, we're just going to call them the book club because they're more of just a conglomerate.
They even call them the book club.
Yeah, they even call themselves the book club. And then we also get introduced to Noah and Mac, who are the respective possible love interests for Annie and Hazel. But again, they're so interchangeable. Sometimes I can't remember who's who. The only thing that I can remember is Mac and Hazel have like this weird like enemies thing.
No,
for like some
Mac
reason.
And Annie. You're even mixing it up now.
Mac and Annie?
Really hard. Yeah, it's Mac and Annie.
But Annie and Mac, Annie says like they're nemesis, I don't know, nemesi. And I'm like, girl, you're the only one being like weird in this situation. Like,
yeah,
nemesis, I would argue no.
We never really hear much bad about him except for whatever Annie decides to say.
Yeah. Anyway, so we meet all these people in this town meeting, and they're going to play roles, I guess, throughout the rest of this book. And we go to the meeting, we meet everybody. And this is where internally in Jeannie's monologue, we find out why she's moved to Dream Harbor. So as Christina kind of like mentioned in the character introduction with her, she was living in Boston. She was leaving her big city dreams, goals or something, and it was feeling pretty empty when suddenly her boss Marvin died and she found him in his office.
Awful. Like, honestly, that is an awful thing to come across. Like, you go into work one morning and she mentions dropping her coffee on the floor because she just sees his coffee, that she was bringing him. And like, can you imagine you go into work, it's just a normal day and someone's dead? Like, that's awful.
I mean, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty devastating. I do hate to tell you though, it did just remind me of the opening of Stardew Valley.
Oh no. It kind of reminded me, there's an episode of Psych that has like a dead boss situation, but it's a lot funnier than this.
I was just thinking of like a dead grandpa gifting the player a farm, and then they just moved to the small town, and I was like, yeah, that's Jeannie and Aunt Dot right here, except Aunt Dot isn't dead, it's Marvin.
That's fine. It's used a lot. A lot of people love the whole, like, I mean, that's literally classic. The plot of Cars. True.
You're not wrong. So they're at the town meeting and she's like reminiscing about this, and she goes up in front of everyone because she stands up. She's like introducing herself, like, hi, I'm Jeannie. I'm the one taking over the coffee. Sorry I closed it for a little bit while I got settled in, but it'll be open soon. And then she tells everyone, she goes, yeah, there's like some scratching noises or something that's causing me to not be able to sleep. And the mayor, who apparently has dreams that tells him stuff about the town, says that he had a dream that Logan helps her with whatever it is.
And someone mentions ghost, and like the town takes it seriously. They say, I bet it's a ghost.
it could be haunted. And I'm like, you know what? These are my kind of people.
This is very Stars Hollow. The whole town meeting thing pulled straight from Gilmore Girls.
Oh, 100%. So Logan is a little reluctant, but he's into Jeannie and he thinks she's cute, so he agrees to do what Jeannie is calling a stakeout.
Follow the dream.
Yeah, exactly. It's so stupid, but I also kind of love it. But before Jeannie can do her little full stakeout with Logan, the day before, Hazel and Annie decide to like hop in and tell Jeannie a little bit about Logan and being like, hey, be careful with him. He's been hurt in the past. And this is where Jeannie finds out about Lucy, who is Logan's ex-girlfriend, almost fiance. Basically what happened is, yeah, not fiance, just ex-girlfriend. Because I don't remember how long ago it was in the book, but he was with this girl, he loved her, and he wanted to marry her. And when he tried to propose to her in front of this tree lighting ceremony, like in front of the whole town, she turned him down because apparently she was like doing more soul searching and wasn't really like settling down in like a small town. So he was really embarrassed and obviously like really heartbroken. So they're essentially like, you can't fuck this up. And also you can't hurt him because the whole town also wants to protect him and love him because also, surprise, he's an orphan.
Yeah, the orphan storyline just kind of came out of nowhere.
Top of it, he's an orphan.
He's an orphan. He lives with his grandparents, who are super cute. But like, you're getting like little orphan Annie. Like it's like, the whole town feels bad for him, and then like his friends are standing up for him, and like he and Jeannie are both like, nah, nothing's going on, and the friends are like, nah, we caught vibes.
Yeah, everyone's like, we caught vibes. But yeah, so on top of the fact that Logan had his heart broken publicly, he's also an orphan. So yeah, Jeannie's like, oh yeah, no, definitely can't do anything, even though I think he's a sexy farmer.
She talks about his beard a lot.
Oh my god, so much.
A lot.
And while this is happening, oh my god, so much. But before, like, they basically tell her, like, yeah, you can have sex with him, like, a casual relationship. Just, like, don't mess with his heart. And Jeannie's like, okay. I barely know the guy. Anyway, speaking of the devil, Logan decides to come on in, and he decides to change out Jeannie's locks for her, sorry, so that she'll sleep better at night. And also, he gives her earplugs. Yeah, he gives her earplugs and...
Earplugs, which is wild, because if you're trying to get someone, I had thoughts about this. If you're trying to keep someone safe at night, I would not wear earplugs, because what if someone breaks in? Then you don't hear it.
I guess it's small town and they don't expect anything, or they think she's being silly. So I don't know. Yeah, it's very silly. It's so very silly. So going to the next part, it's more of Logan now reminiscing about his failed proposal to Lucy, and we get like some more details about that. But he's kind of using this whole motivation of getting his heart being broken to be like why he can't be with Jeannie, because he's like so damaged. And well, he doesn't say it like that, but he's like, I don't want to like jump into anything with someone who's just going to pass through again and use me. And I'm like, fair enough, but you also barely know this girl, but okay.
His points are fair, but the way he goes about it is so dramatic. At one point, I have this highlighted. He says, I guess this is his point of view. He was greeted by the only ladies he had ever understood as soon as he stepped outside. And he is talking about his chickens.
Yeah, he's talking about the chickens. Ashlyn, would you like to discuss your thing about the chickens real quick?
Okay. So, you know what? I have chickens. I've had many chickens and I love them dearly. I get it. They're all sweet ladies. I understand. Now, for listeners that have chickens, these chickens are silkies, which is a breed of chicken that they're not good for anything. They are really bad meat hens because they're very small. They're very bad layers because, again, they're very small. And a little fun fact about Silkies is that their skull isn't like totally enclosed, so they do have a hole in the top of their head. And chickens like to peck each other on the head to assert dominance. So Silkies can't chicken right without dying, because if they peck each other on the head, they'll just die. Silkies die if you look at them wrong. They are a horrible breed to have, and no self-respecting farmer would ever have Silkies as a breed of chicken. That's bonkers. Thank you.
The reason we had to bring that up is because Ashlyn had a whole discussion with us about chickens and the fact that Silkies can't chicken right. We just had to talk about it. The fact that Logan keeps Silkies.
I'll blame the chicken rant.
also, well, no, I'll wait for this. I'll wait for my little rant on all of the animal names that comes up shortly after we get the next animal name. So it's stakeout time, and I just love Ashlyn's note that says, "Can I be honest? What the fuck is going on?" So Jeannie has invited Logan over basically for a stakeout of seeing if there's a ghost or not. And they eat candy, they flirt, and Logan asks Jeannie to explain the noises she's hearing. And they talk about it, and a little time later, they're still up, no spooky noises quite yet, and then Jeannie opens up to Logan about why she's scared about things, and it's because in her life, in the past 10 years of living in Boston, her life has been empty because she doesn't have friends, because she's been into her job and no one would check on her. And Logan's like, damn, she's hot, I'd come check up on you any day, baby.
And for context, they're on the floor at this point.
Oh, they're cuddling. They're cuddling.
They're on the floor. They're supposed to be in their sleeping bags that Logan got.
For some reason, they're sleeping at the front of the storefront. I'm like, why not just up in the apartment? Because she could hear it just fine up there.
She could hear it just fine. I mean, I guess they have the snacks, so you have to be downstairs for all the snacks that Jeannie brought. She brought so many snacks. Specifically, she was debating about Twizzlers. Yeah,
she asked if she was wondering if Logan was a Twizzler man, because she hates Twizzlers, and I agree with her. Twizzlers are not a good candy.
They're gross, but Logan loves them.
Which is a red flag for me personally. But Jeannie also here opens up about Marvin and all of that stuff and blah 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 blah. And just as they're getting all sexy and about to lean in for a kiss, they hear the spooky noises. Whoa! And it's just some scratching. And they go sneak to the back, and Logan opens the back door, and guess what it is? Because I guessed it, folks. I'll give you 3 seconds. Never mind. I'm not going to let you guess. It was a little cat.
And the little cat is on the cover. It's on the cover of the book, so you could have guessed. Yeah,
you could have guessed, but I didn't even see the cat on the front of the book, so I didn't guess that. Well, I actually did. Surprise. So it's a little white cat with bright blue eyes, and I'm like, there's no way that cat was not already picked up by someone else. There's no fucking way. No way.
It's just living in the clean alleyway. There's nothing for it to eat. She mentions that there's not a lot of trash in the alley. It's a clean alley in a small town. So what's the cat eating this whole time?
Well, what I'm more talking about is the fact that not another person would have picked up a small, white, blue-eyed kitten. Because she sounds like an adult cat. I'm like, bullshit. There's no way that cat was living out in the street for that long and just decided to come inside. Someone had to be feeding it at this point. 100%. I just love that we're just BSing the fact about the cat. Where there's so many other things. Anyway, Logan has cat food in his truck. Why? Because you never know when you're going to need it. And they feed the cat. And it's like, dang.
I forgot about the cat food.
I guess I have a cat. Guess I have a cat now. And Jeannie and Logan want to have sex, but they can't. So Logan leaves after that because he's like, yep, go solved. Gotta go. And Jeannie's like, yep. Okay.
Have
this
fun
is
with the
the
cat.
chapter in
Bye.
which, yeah, have fun with the cat. Bye. Honestly, this is what happened when Lauren got her cat because it just wandered into her house too. So
It's a cat thing.
well, the only reason I know this is because I was there when it happened. Oh yeah, and Ashlyn with May May. So, so this is where I'll have my little rant about the animal names because I hate them and I think they're stupid names and I think they're very out of character. So in this chapter, she's daydreaming about Logan and how she wants to like have sex with him, so on and so forth. And we get told that the name of the cat is Casper because, you know, he was Jeannie's friendly ghost. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It made me so irrevocably mad for no reason.
It's funny that you got so mad because, like, I thought it was silly, but I didn't think it was the worst thing. And you're over here hating. Like, what about it?
Oh my god, I hate it so much. I think what made it worse was the fact that we got names later of all of Logan's animals, which for some reason this big, gruff, sexy small town farmer has named all of his little silky chickens after pop superstars. What? Huh?
Oh, and not even it doesn't even stop at the chickens. You get
No, the Bobs. Don't get me started on the Bobs.
It's Marley and
I can't even remember the other one.
it was Bob Marley, not Bob Saget. It was another singer.
It's some other singer. I don't care. It's stupid.
Dylan?
And then the fact that he goes, oh,
Bob
Dylan. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
Dylan.
you.
It's the Bobs. It's Dylan and Marley.
Yeah, and it's
And then
stupid.
you got the alpaca.
Don't get me started on that fucking alpaca. I hated that alpaca.
Which specifically what it says here, he stopped in front of the old fence that kept Harry Styles, his rescue alpaca.
I could just imagine Harry Styles, but just for some reason, just like with a bit in his mouth, just being like,
For the movie, cast Harry as the alpaca.
yeah, please. I understand that in that little bit, it's like, oh well, it was like for charity, so like the kids could name the alpaca. I'm like, then Logan, what was the excuse for the other animals? You had the other ones before you had Harry Styles. What was the excuse? It just felt like really poor writing, and I hate hating on this author so hard because she is a small time. Well, actually, no, I take that back. She's not a small time author. She's fully published. Actually, I take it back. I'm gonna hate on it a little bit. She's won quite a few awards. I take it back. Actually, hey, Lori, what the fuck were those names? Give Logan a little bit more personality than just the ideal farm guy. Like. Can he like music that's not like what every 20 to 30 something white girl's dream is? Like, come on.
I'm very confused because he does mention that Harry Styles, I think, was named by the Girl Scouts that came. Like his grandmother had the Girl Scouts come. And I'm like, okay, but it didn't explain at all the others. Because he was like, oh, there's a theme. And I'm like, when did he pick up social media? Like, he never talked about this at all. This was so out of character.
So I think on top of it, adding Casper, the white cat that was the friendly ghost, just like threw me off. I'm like, we can name the cat something else. We can name it something else. Like name it something interesting, but no, we have to do some quirky pop culture reference.
I guess they could name it like Adele. Lady Gaga.
I hate that. Oh, one of the chickens is already Lady Gaga. And they already had an Adele chicken as well.
True. You can't double name.
Yeah, what can you do? You can't do it. Especially when it's a chicken and a cat. Anyway, I think it just made me so mad. It didn't make me mad. It irritated me because it was just very boring. And I felt like none of the characters had character. And they all were just the same person. You know? Like, it wouldn't have been too far off if Jeannie named those farm animals and not Logan.
Yeah, it just wasn't on character. It made me sad because it didn't talk about like what would he have named them? Like what are the kind of names that he would be interested in? And he never talked about what he was interested in at all. I don't think we have any interest for Logan except for Jeannie.
We only know that he likes Jeannie. We know he likes coffee.
He likes coffee. He likes the farm. He likes his grandparents.
That's about it. That's all we know. Like I didn't know that he liked pop icons that much until I didn't know he liked reggae music. Like
he could have brought it up at any point. I talk about Taylor Swift too much, and so it would make sense if I named something about Taylor Swift.
You do love her though. You do love her a lot. So yeah, it was just, I don't know. I was just very underwhelmed by this whole thing with the naming of the animals, and I think that just summed up quite a few other frustrations I had with the book. So maybe that's why it's all accumulating in this one area, because I'm just like, it just could have been better. Anyway, going back to more what actually happens in the book and getting off my little soapbox. So Annie comes in like while Jeannie is daydreaming about Logan, and she's like, "Are you sure it was just the cat? And it could be like someone messing with you or something like that, or it could be Mac messing with you because apparently he wanted to buy the building or something." And Jeannie's like, "No way." Anyway, Logan comes in for a little bit, grabs a coffee, but at the same time, it's book club day, baby, which means the smutty erotica book club comes into the coffee shop to talk about their most recent book. And I'll be real, for some reason, I felt like some of this was like a little bit of a dig at romance readers for some reason. Like how she kept describing how they like openly talk about sex and other things. And I was just like, hey, ma'am, you can't. The call is coming from inside the house.
It really was. It was kind of funny, like at a point where I was like, oh, they're like the gossipy neighbors. Like, of course, they'd have a book club, and they're talking about like this like farmer and a milkmaid romance, and it's like ha. But then it's like overdone. They keep coming up. They keep being involved in everything. They keep like kind of making Logan feel uncomfortable, which felt unfair.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, that might have been the problem with the whole book. I feel like there was many things that kept happening where things kept coming up, and it's like, okay, we get it. We don't need to keep exploring this.
Okay. Like, book club's funny, but kind of pull them in somehow. Give them, I don't know. They were very, like, one-trick pony.
Yeah, and they were all in unison. I truly one trick alpaca. I like that. Because we also, as we're saying, we're calling them the book club because there are individual names. I remember Mateo, but that was the baby. And he was just there because his mother was there.
Yeah, there's some other people, but I literally can't think of their names.
No, I can't either. So yeah. Anyway, Logan, we jump back to Logan now. He's also like very much into Jeannie. He's very much like, damn, she's hot. Definitely want to like, do some nasty things to her. But he swears her off because he's not doing any more what he calls eat, pray, love relationships. And he's not going to like do any more of those like soul searching kind of things. And oh, wait, no, this is when he actually comes into the cafes, his little bit, while Jeannie's talking to the book club. And he does a quick little brief, hello, Jeannie. And Jeannie's like, hello, Logan. And then he leaves because, he's feeling awkward, which fair enough. If a bunch of town people in my town were questioning me about my sex life, I would also be wanting to run away.
Yeah, and like they see this interaction just like, hey, and book club is eating it up. They put the book away.
Yeah, it's odd. Anyway, and then in this chapter is when Jeannie mentions the milkmaid and farmer book because one of the people in the book club tries to give her the book, which is like the farmer and the milkmaid. And she's like, and I assure this is not her pen name. And I just went, Lori, you can't talk. That is just like in my notes. It's like, Miss Ma'am, we know Lori Gilmore is not your name. Which might her just be like trying to be cheeky, and I'm just like taking it in a weird way, but I just thought it was
We're
funny.
in
Just
hater
like
mode.
I was in full hater mode throughout a lot of this. Also, I think the book club is just book talk, honestly. Like, it was just what people think book talk is. And so, yeah, they basically recruit Jeannie into the meeting, and she's now part of the book club. So later that night, she calls her brother, Ben. He's her younger brother, and he's living out in California. And she is talking to him, like, having this heart-to-heart. And Jeannie realizes that she's got a lot of self-doubt about herself and like whether or not she can do certain things, and like, you know, Marvin and and like I was just like, I was already at this point getting over the fact that she kept bringing up over and over again her like fast life and how she like lived fast and all of that stuff, and I was like, okay, yes, we get it. You're trying to slow down. You're trying to become a new person, but you can also just be the same person you are. Who gives a fuck? I don't. Blah.
And that's what her brother says. He's like, okay,
100%.
like, you're talking about new Jeannie, but like, what about old Jeannie? Like, old Jeannie's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the fact his name is fucking Bennett. That name follows me everywhere, and I hate it. Christina, you weren't here for that one. That was November 9.
I don't have a hatred to the name Bennett, so it was fine for me. I was like, Ben, sure, whatever.
It's specifically when she said Bennett, and I went, ugh.
Yeah, November 9. His name's Benton, but oof, all Bens. All Bens are off the
All
table
Bens.
forever and ever.
Ben, never ever again. But it follows me, and I hate it. Stop naming your kid Ben. 2024. That's my new slogan campaign. Yeah, so, you know, brother FaceTime and heart to heart. And now it's time for the farmer's market. So basically, the reason this is only just now being brought up is because Logan tells her about it in the previous chapter. And Jeannie's surprised because she surprised Marvin, who is not Marvin, what's his name? Now you've got me doing it, Christina.
Norman,
that guy. Grumpy old man.
Grumpy.
Norman.
He's the grumpy in the grumpy sunshine.
He's the grumpy in the grumpy sunshine. Honestly, Norman and Aunt Dot are actually the grumpy sunshine.
Hey, that's kind of a spoiler.
Who cares? I always do a little bit. Anyway, it's hinted at throughout the whole book. Who cares?
It is. It's not much of a spoiler.
Not whatsoever. Anyway, so Norman is one of Aunt Dot's old employees. So he kind of transferred over from Aunt Dot to Jeannie. And Marvin had never told her about the farmer's market that happens every Saturday.
Norman.
So Jeannie was a little, whatever his name is, I don't care. The old grumpy guy. I'm gonna start referring to Marvin as the dead guy, and Norman as Norman. So that helps
Grumpy
me.
alive guy.
Yeah, grumpy alive guy. So he was meant to tell her about the farmer's market. He didn't. Jeannie's like upset, but anyway, she sets up for the farmer's market. It's farmer's market day. Yay!
Small town, New England. Yay!
Woo! We love it.
We love New England.
We love New England. Isn't it a great state? A great New England. I'm never going to be able to live that one down. It's okay.
No, sorry.
So Logan helps Jeannie set up her farmer's market tent, and basically as soon as they do, it starts pouring, and they all have to like run inside. And
it's pouring,
they
it's
like
also windy.
Yeah, and I'm like, where did that come from? Yeah, because coincidentally enough, the tent just like went up into a tree.
And that was straight up like Twisters. Like Twisters. Like, I feel like there's a scene.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So Logan and Jeannie like run down Main Street to go get it. They don't catch it. It gets caught in a tree. And she like drags him back to the cafe where they make it through the back door and they start making out hardcore. They are both very, very into it. Like this. Have you noticed how many times he pinned her up against a wall? I lost count. I think it was like 5 or 6 times. Like when they started making out.
If there was any pinning.
It was a wall. They were right there. They were against that wall. So they make out for a bit, and then I love them just glossing over the fact that this is like their first kiss, and it's like meant to be romantic. So I'm just like, whatever.
Well, if you backtrack though, because it's like they're chasing after this tent, it gets stuck in the tree. And Logan's like, I have to get this tent out of the tree or she'll never stay. So he's like enraged in this moment. And then she's like, come on, let's just go back. And then they make out. So he's upset. Like he's being very like masculine rage in that moment. And so I wonder if that has to do with him pinning her against a wall.
No, because then, spoiler, next time they make out, he does it again.
It's like a thing. Yeah, I don't know what he knows about that.
But then the third time they make out, up against a wall.
The walls better watch out in this town.
Honestly, the walls better watch out or else Jeannie and Logan are going to make out on them.
Yeah, if you're a fly on the wall, watch out. You're going to be smashed.
You're going to get squished. But the power goes out and Jeannie's like, oh, I would love to keep making out with you, but I really have to go run a cafe. So she decides to go be a good little cafe owner and help out with what's going on. And then we kind of switch perspectives. This is when we start getting half chapters between Logan and Jeannie. And we're back in Jeannie's POV, and she is having some suspicions that Norman and her aunt had a little affair because she's like, Norman doesn't really like me. He doesn't like treat me great. And I think it's just because he misses my aunt and yada, yada, yada. And she's like, no, I'm just thinking about Logan too much. Like that little makeout sesh is just putting thoughts into my brain. And that's when she picks up her little smutty farm book and begins to read it in the cafe. And I was like, ma'am, I am not brave enough to read some of these books out in public unless it is on my Kindle, and I am like, so no one can see what the fuck I'm reading.
She's in the cafe where the book club people come. She knows that they gave her the book. It's like a whole thing. They know what's in the book. Yeah. They read it. Yeah. She's brave.
She's so brave. Braver than I could ever be. Okay, so jumping forward, don't remember how much time has passed, but now it's trivia night in the bar. This was like the whole thing that Mac proposed. That was like the same night as Annie's like cooking class, and she was like really mad about it or something. I don't even think you brought that up before.
No, she thinks he's like sabotaging her. It's like this whole like back plot that's happening where Annie is like in this moment where she's like, this man is against me, and Jeannie's like, hoo hoo, hee hee, kiss me up against a wall.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, but it's just a lot of, we've been told this and we have seen no actions between Mac or Annie to like see if like there's any animosity. Like it just seems like Annie's the one who's perpetuating it, because Mac shows up and apparently he's just like smiling and laughing and having fun, which I would be too if it was a trivia night. Anyway, it's trivia night. They're all doing trivia. And it's suspicious for some reason for Annie that it's all happening. Anyway, trivia ends, Logan's team loses, and then he and Jeannie leave at the same time, and then guess what? It's time to go gets that wow baby and make out some more. Except this time, you go ahead.
It's in the alley.
It is in the alley this time, and he also picks her up this time, which is also a very common thing that he keeps fucking doing, and it kind of pissed me off after like the fifth time. I was like, we get it.
He is strong. If you think like PETA in the Hunger Games and how it's like, I work with heavy things and I can pick you up. That's exactly the theme that's happening here is I work with animals on the farm.
I get it. I know it's meant to be sexy, but like when you keep doing it every single time, like I think it would be sexier if it happened one time and it was like meant to be like kind of the bigger moment where they're actually getting hot and heavy. Because this is a 28-year-old and a 30-year-old making out, and they're making out like fucking 15-year-olds. Like, Jesus Christ, keep it in your pants.
It definitely is something where I'm like, yeah, the one trick alpaca thing stands.
The one trick alpaca is standing, very much so. Anyway, they hear a noise while they're making out, and they're like, someone could have seen us. But it wasn't. Basically, Jeannie's trash cans had been tipped over for the third night in a row, which she reveals to Logan. And he's like, well, why didn't you tell me? And she goes, I don't know. Like, it's just kind of weird. And he's like, well, it could just be raccoon. She goes, yeah, but the bags are untouched and they're like not ripped open. And at this point, we're all like, someone's messing with Jeannie. Like, it makes so much sense.
It's not Casper anymore.
No, it's definitely not Casper. Anyway, to leave you guys on a cliffhanger, later that night, Jeannie wakes up to noises in the same alley, and a window gets broken. And she calls her brother instead of the police, and she's like,
Wait,
I don't know, this
thing.
is weird. But I somewhat get it, but at the same time, the fact that she's like, I just don't want to be a bother. I'm like, shut the fuck up and call the police. Dear God.
Or call someone in town, not someone in California, on the exact opposite side of
And the fact that she's like, I don't want to call Logan because I don't want to like mess up this thing that we have, because they had just agreed to be like casual and like not tell anybody. And I was like, this is so fucking stupid.
Wait, oh my God. Okay. Something maybe just connected in my brain. I don't know. So, okay, trash cans falling over seems pretty purposeful, right? We were just talking about like how could the cat have wandered in? Is the cat on purpose? Was it placed there?
I don't know. I think the cat happened organically, and then other things started happening.
And other things. Okay.
I think that's what happened. Anyway, she's like not able to fall asleep, and we've said this a couple times on this show. We've talked about millennial humor and very millennial things. The fact that this bitch pulls up Schitt's Creek on Netflix and decides to watch that instead of going back to sleep. Dear God. Oh my God.
You're frustrated, but like, if there's anything that Jeannie did that I felt like I could relate to more, it's this moment. She calls her brother instead of the cops, is like, guess I'm gonna put some TV on, and then stays up all night. I have done that myself when I first moved into a new place and my windows wouldn't lock, and I was terrified that being in like a more urban place that someone would break in. And I literally called my family and was like, I don't know what to do. And they were like, call someone. I said, no. And then I watched TV all night.
Okay, fine. I'll give it to you. I'll give that one to you. I'll give that one to you. I think it just annoyed me that it was like Schitt's Creek. I was like, can we do another fucking show? Something else.
And Schitt's Creek. Well, Schitt's Creek is kind of another like small town.
I know. It's in the same genre. Anyway, she doesn't go to sleep, and she's about to get up when she gets a text from Logan, like in the morning, that's like seeing how she was, and she goes, oh, he's so sweet. And she goes, yeah, it was fine. Nothing happened. And that's the end of part 1, guys.
What a place to end.
What a place to end. My hater energy is coming out so much right now, and I didn't hate the beginning of this book.
But going back through, it's clear that not much happened. Like, you know, we're trying to make something out of nothing on a lot of these things.
Yeah, like it was fine. Anyway, Ashlyn, do you have questions for us before I get us into more trouble?
Oh, my questions won't stop us from getting into trouble.
Oh, great.
So, in the books that we read, couples get together in a lot of wild, different ways. But this couple may be the earliest meet cute scene that we have ever read. How do you feel about this scene?
Don't get me started. I'll get in trouble. I'll let Christina go first.
I have mixed thoughts on this because Oh, my problem with romance is when I'm reading a romance and I don't have the characters at first, and then I'm frustrated because I'm like, who are these people? Like, when does it start? This one, it started, and then I was like, when does it start? Because it did start so early, and it started with like serial killer vibes, which I just read like thrillers right before, and so I was like, oh, a thriller? But it wasn't.
Yeah. So here's my thing. I've established this pretty early on in the show, and that's why I let Christina go first, because I'm a yapper and I'll just keep going forever and ever and ever.
Are you really a yapper? I would never know.
I know, right? Definitely wouldn't know. I am fully in the camp of I don't love meet cutes. I don't like them. I don't like the insta love thing. I think it's a boring and honestly overdone trope in romance. And I just thought it was fine. Truly, like honestly, I was thinking back to X Hex reading this one because it was the most recent one we read. And what I liked is these both give off similar small town vibes, you know, like it's a small community. It's like people who all know each other and have grown up with each other. But what was interesting about the relationship dynamic that I liked so much more in X Hex is that they had a history beforehand, you know, and then they like met up again, and they had to like go through this complicated will they, won't they, in the sense of like, well, we've already had these feelings, like how will we work on them now as adults?
The history did help. It made it more interesting.
Yes. It makes it more interesting. So when it's just like, oh, I'm in love with you and I just saw you for the first time, I think you're very sexy and I want to like fuck you up right now, it's just boring to me. Like, give me a reason. Give me a reason to root for these characters. I know that most of the time, like in real life, a meet cute or just like meeting someone and be like, oh, that person's attractive, and like that's how a relationship starts. I understand that that's how things work in real life, but that's not what I want in my romance books.
The gourd man coming to your door. You don't want that.
Yeah, I know. I need my gourd man. I need my man to bring me gourds. Apparently, that's how you win a woman over. Or were they pumpkins? Who knows?
I think he confirmed they were gourds.
I don't give a shit what he thinks they are.
Important plot moments.
So where we've stopped right now in the book is just about halfway through. At this point, do you think Jeannie and Logan have good chemistry?
This feels like a loaded question, and it shouldn't be, but it feels like one, because my answer is no, question mark.
I don't feel the chemistry, but they obviously do because they decide to fuck.
They have, like, I think they have, like, physical chemistry with each other, which doesn't translate well in a book, though. So, yeah. Like, when they're like, oh my god, I'm so physically attracted to him, I'm like, well, guess what? This is a book, and I can't see him.
Yeah.
So it's a little difficult, and I would rather if there was a little less like telling us these things, and if their like emotions came through a little bit better, which I don't think they did.
No, it felt like both of them were more focused on their past selves rather than their present selves, and they kept focusing on how the past was like holding them back from being with each other, and it was like it was just unnecessary tension at times, just for tension's sake. Yeah, I mean, I didn't personally feel like there was any chemistry between the two, but obviously they do in the book because they bang.
At this point, we've been given several different explanations for what might be going on in the cafe. What was your hypothesis when you got to this point in the book?
Oh, Norman. I was like, it's Norman. Duh.
It's Norman. There's no other person that it could be, because even Mac wasn't really villainized. It was only villainized by Annie, and it's like clear that he was just vibing with his trivia night. Like the trivia night confirmed that it wasn't him. in my mind.
Yeah. The thing that I knew Mac was like a red herring once, and he was like, oh, he's like doing this. I'm like, no, they're just like, that's that weird sexual tension. And the fact that Jeannie instantly brought up, she goes, oh yeah, my aunt and Norman may have had a thing. I was like, yeah, it's Norman. He wants to fuck up the cafe. So like, because he's mad, like maybe they had a breakup or something. I was like, it's Norman.
I was thinking breakup because I was like, Aunt Dot, we didn't get much about her at this point. We just kind of know she's in the Caribbean, vibing, having a good time.
Yeah.
So she seems like the kind of woman that would break hearts.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe he like wanted to settle down or something. So I was like, yeah, it's Norman. I don't know his full reasoning why he's doing it, but it's Norman. No doubt.
In addition to pregnancy, another one of Sydney's very deep, dark fears is a public proposal. What did you think of Logan's proposal to Lucy?
I cringed so fucking hard. I would have had Lucy's same reaction. I would have been like, nope, gotta go.
I can see the point in this book with like it being Gilmore Girls, or even like if you pull in Schitt's Creek, small town vibes. Mm-hmm. I could see this being so cute in Gilmore Girls, like Luke and Lorelai or someone, like do a proposal out of town thing, and it would just make sense. But it sounded cringy written down.
And it's really cringy when it happens. And really, sorry for people who've done that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's cinematic.
Like, yeah, but I'm not looking for cinematic in a book. I'm trying to think of an equivalent word to cinematic for a book.
If you can't show us, which you can't with a book, you have to tell us through words. We need something better if you're going to do like...
I need something better than that.
So it is cringy, but I think that's the whole point, is that he's coming from this cringe, but it feels out of character for him too, like to do something so public.
It's also very Hallmark. Like, this is a very Hallmark move to do. Like, I have unfortunately seen a lot of Hallmark movies in my time, so I do know the formula and the format. So this is giving very much Hallmark movie at the end of a Christmas movie, and the guy decides to propose.
And that's not very Logan.
No, he's so reserved. But I think he says it too. The whole thing is that he did it because he thought Lucy wanted something bigger, and he was trying to do bigger, and it backfired on him.
Yeah, they do talk about how like she just never felt right. Like his friends talk about that. Like they just never felt like they fit in. And so I'm curious why they think that Jeannie fits.
Yeah, I'm like, what about Jeannie makes you guys fit? Is it just because, she has plot armor? And she's... I'm a hater. I'm so sorry. This was meant to be fun and cute, and I'm not having a fun and cute time. This is not very... What is it? I'm not being very demure. Not very cutesy right now.
Demure.
I am not being demure.
It's a hating hour. We've hated on chickens. We've hated it on... Red Vines or Twizzlers. I think they call them Twizzlers in there. And then now we're hating on proposals, meet cutes.
Yeah. And in the next part of and with that, in the next part, we will continue to hate on this book. Tune in next time to hear part 2 of Pumpkin Spice Cafe here with Raunchy Power Hour, where we'll discuss the rest of the book. Will I bring up how I think it's stupid that Jeannie's able to run a cafe even though she has no barista experience? Yes, I do, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, if you liked this episode, we've got so many other episodes for you to listen to, so please go check those out. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube if we're not over 2 hours long. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and you can also find us on Storygraph, and actually no, you can only find us on Goodreads. My bad, guys. But go follow us on Goodreads and Fable so you can stay up to date with what we're reading and what we're saying about certain books. And yeah, tune in next time to listen to the rest of our thoughts for Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. And I'll say good night to you, you Gilmore gals.